Our next guest story is truly incredible. She was 22 years old, months from graduation, when Tahnee Shah was diagnosed with one of the rarest forms of cancer in the world. She spent the past 3 years searching for a cure. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Tahnee Shah. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Calabasas, California. 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 fibrolamellar hepatocellular carcinoma. It's very long. It's a very rare liver cancer that kind of hits the age gap between 15 to 25. The survival rate is about 5%, and it's between 3 to 5 years. So I'm just hitting 3 years. So right after high school, I moved straight to the East Coast for college. I went to college at Syracuse University at upstate New York. I was at a basketball game when I kind of realized that something just wasn't right, and I was feeling a lot of cramping and just stomach pains, and so I told my roommates, I think something's wrong. I think we need to go to the hospital. First they thought it was ovarian cancer, and then they kind of really weren't sure because they'd never seen a cancer like mine before, and they had never seen something so fast active and so, far along in the stages. They said, with what we see, your prognosis doesn't look good. We give you a few months at best. I just told myself that no doctor was gonna tell me how long I had to live. I was gonna tell myself how long I had, and I had a hell of a lot longer than 4 months. What brought me to using cannabis was actually my second week at being at home. I was horribly ill. I was throwing up in a trash bag for hours. I couldn't keep down any food. I called a family friend over and they said, whatever you can do. We know that you've been involved in the medical marijuana industry. She said, okay, I'm just gonna blow it around your face. And she blew it around my face, and within seconds, the nausea was gone. And I got up and I walked around my living room, and I was like, for the first time in 3 weeks, I'm hungry. I didn't even in my wildest dreams imagine that going through that chemo and going through all that toxic medication that I was ever gonna reach a point where I didn't feel sick. I mean, that was such a relieving feeling to know that I had something that I could rely on that was gonna take away that pain. From that day forward, it helped me with everything. It got my weight back on. It got my hair to grow back. I started seeing my tumors shrink. I started seeing my skin grow back. It was truly just bringing me back to life again. Before I used cannabis, I was on an extremely toxic chemo cocktail: Ativan, morphine, Dilaudid, Xanax. Any prescription pill that you can think of, I was on it. I was on 22 prescription meds a day. I started using cannabis, and within, I'd say, a month, maybe less than that, it got me down to 2 pills. And those 2 pills I was choosing to take, and they were herbal. I should not be here right now. And I say that and I laugh about it because I've reached a point where I told every one of my doctors, I'm gonna show you, and I'm gonna show you that you're wrong. Because that's all they kept telling me was, you've done a really good job, and you've prolonged your diagnosis from what it was, as if that's still supposed to be good enough. And it'll never be good enough to just live out my time left. So I'm gonna keep fighting, and I'm gonna keep telling myself that I have as much time as I want.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us about the first day that you were diagnosed.
God, it still feels like yesterday. I was at our school's biggest rivalry basketball game, and throughout the day I've been experiencing weird stomach cramps, you could say. It felt like my stomach was swollen all day. For some reason I couldn't drink, I couldn't eat, I couldn't do anything, and so we finally got to the basketball game. I was in so much pain. I told my roommate, I said, I think I have to go home. I can't even be out anymore, this pain is so severe. We went home. A few hours later, I got up in the middle of the night. I said, I can't even fall asleep with this pain. It's gotten so bad, I need to go to the hospital right now. They did testing and ultrasounds and finally, realized that I had masses all over my stomach lining and my liver. And they called my parents and said, "You need to fly here right now."
What was it like telling your parents?
I think for all of us to hear that news at first was shocking and overwhelming, to say the least. You know, we were given a diagnosis and a prognosis of a few months at best.
So when did you begin using cannabis as part of your treatment?
Well, it was probably about 3 weeks into starting my chemo cocktail. I was profusely throwing up in a trash bag for hours, and my parents, were so desperate to find something that would help with the pain and the nausea and just the constant sickness I felt on a day-to-day. And we had a family friend who was, very knowledgeable about marijuana and what the benefits of it could do for me and what I was going through. And she came over, and that was the first day I tried it. And within seconds of having it just blown around my face, because at the time I was on an oxygen tank, so I couldn't ingest anything on my own, and she just blew it around my mouth. And just, I guess, ingesting it through my nose and what I could, it completely stopped the nausea. I stopped throwing up. It was magical for me to have something so relieving when I was feeling so sick. And from that day forward, I'd never stopped using it.
And what was your family's reaction to your use of cannabis? Were they for it?
They were completely supportive of anything that would relieve my pain, anything that helped me. My mom, knew about the benefits of it growing up. And I think my dad, was a little bit more old-fashioned. He didn't really know much about it. So for him, I think it was very mind-opening and very just an awakening experience for him, because he didn't know the benefits of what this could do. And from that point, I think they were both really on board with me using it and how it could help and just how they could get as much as they could for me.
Do you believe that you'd be alive if you hadn't used cannabis?
I don't. There's a huge, huge part of me that believes that so much of my success through the last 3 years, and from going from someone who was 89 pounds and practically on their deathbed, I felt the effects day by day of what it was doing to me, and it was truly bringing me back to life.
Are you worried that your cannabis use might be a gateway to other drugs or problems?
No, I've never in a million years even thought about using anything else. I mean, to be honest, if anything, it got me off of drugs. I mean, when I started on this journey, I was 22 pills a day, and that was prescription pills, and that was Ativan, morphine, Dilaudid, Xanax. I mean, those are things that you give people right before they die. They were drugging me, but I was honestly taking something now that was getting me off of those drugs. I went from the 22 pills to 2 herbal pills. And for me, it was like it was getting me off of drugs, so it was doing the opposite of a gateway to other things.
Now, beautiful smile, awesome person. How has using cannabis affected your social life, and what is your social life like now?
Well, being a cancer patient, having a social life is difficult only due to your day-to-day and how you feel. And a lot of days I get up and I have a ton of energy and I can work out, and I worked, for 8 months. So I had all that energy to get up and work 16-hour days. And then there's some days where it takes every ounce of energy in my being to get me out of bed in the morning. And on those days, I don't know if I speak to one human being the whole day. So my social life has definitely changed. I was a social butterfly. I was out every day, all day. And now I find a lot of the time is spent, with myself and just healing myself and just feeding my body whatever I need on that day.
Has your doctor been influenced, or how have they received your success with cannabis?
Well, my oncologist was incredibly shocked when we first got the results of my first scan showing shrinkage. He knew that there was something else that I had to be doing outside of chemo, because the chemo was only supposed to stabilize me. and I had shrunk 30% in 60 days, and that was just unheard of. So he was very supportive, surprisingly, and just very open about it, and said, you know, whatever else it is that you're doing, please keep doing it and don't stop.
It's a pretty good endorsement.
Big endorsement. I like to have seen his face when you share with him what the secret ingredient was.
It was shocking. He was taken back, definitely, but I think he was kind of pleased, because I think that was kind of like the news that he needed to hear, that cannabis actually was taking effect at cancer patients, and he was seeing it with his own eyes.
Turned him that day, I bet you.
Absolutely.
Are you concerned at all about the new government administration coming in and their position on medical cannabis?
I am concerned, because as a cancer patient and as someone who needs this every day to get through the day, even the slight fear that that could possibly be taken away from me or not given to other patients out there in other states, it kills me, and yeah.
You're the only one, right, who's had tumors shrink from this?
Yeah, so I chose to do the, route that most cancer patients take. I was on chemotherapy, but I was really the only person that had this cancer, was on the chemo, and was using the cannabis regularly on a day-to-day basis that had found shrinkage.
So that's a miracle.
It is a miracle.
How does it feel to walk around and be a miracle?
It's a surreal feeling, I get up some days and it's like, wow, I'm still here. I still outlived every doctor, every person that told me I only had a certain amount of time. It's unbelievable to me. I feel very blessed to have been given the opportunity to go out and just further my mission, further my story, tell people and get it into as many people as I can to the benefits of what this plant can do.
Is that part of your message, or what is the message you would like to convey to people?
I think my message would probably be just to have an open mind to something that might help you. I was at that stage that you were at. I was at the place of, not knowing and being scared to try something new. So I've been at every stage that every single person has been at before, with experiencing fear and then having you feel relieved and knowing that you can trust in it. I think that my message would be that I feel like I was put here for a reason. I felt like I was here and given a second chance at life to show people what this plant can do, how much it can change your life, how it can better the quality of your life, whether you're sick or you're as healthy as can be. It can benefit you in some way or another.
Thank you, Tahnee, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
To help support Tahnee, visit her website at tahneesmedicine.com. Show your support by using the hashtag Tahnee'sMedicine. And to find out more information about Tahnee and her mission, visit our website at Bakeout.tv.